showed the clip of. 410-4. It was basically unanimous in the House. Democrats and Republicans, I don't need to tell you, there were very divided feelings about Nixon, but there was unity on the question of the investigation. In this week, near absolute total partisan division. What's the difference?
The media, the fact that we had NBC, ABC, CBS, and all of them had the same facts. There was no argument about facts. That was clear. John Chancellor had the same story as Huntley, Brinkley, etc. And now we have total bubbles of information so that people believe totally different things, even though only one can be true. And I believe that what we're hearing here on MSNBC are the facts. They represent what's really going on. And we have to remember, although it was 410-4, it also ended up at the end where there was a unanimous, not unanimous, but there was clearly going to be a conviction in the Senate, and that it was the Republicans who went to Nixon and said, if you do not resign, you will be convicted. He said, well, I still have a lot of support in the Senate. Barry Goldwater allegedly said to him, you don't even have my vote. And that's when he resigned. And
that was it. And obviously, the president, we showed at that rally tonight, talking about trying to keep Republicans together. Listen to something he said. Let's play this clip from the rally tonight.
The Republicans have great policy. In many ways, they're better politicians, but they're not as vicious. Thank you, darling. I appreciate it. They're not as vicious, but they have a tendency to split apart. The Democrats don't seem to have any Mitt Romneys. We do.
So Romney is on his mind there. Romney been one of the most outspoken Trump critics in this, who's emerged so far. How do you see the House vote this week? Every single Republican voted against the resolution. Do you read that as, if it comes to articles of impeachment, that means they're dug in, they'll all vote against articles of impeachment? Or do you see wiggle room that vote doesn't necessarily indicate?
I think right now they are unanimous in their support because they're afraid of Donald Trump, and he is obviously bribing them with money, saying if you want money to support your campaign and if you don't want to have an opponent in the primary, you better support me. And he has raised an enormous amount of money. But I think in the end, once they go back home and start hearing from their constituents who are starting to believe and understand, and we now have almost 50% of the American people, 49%, say that he should not only be impeached, he should be removed. That's a very dramatic thing. And also, if you follow the statistics from Watergate, it's not dissimilar. In Watergate, you had a very popular president, someone who won 49 states, who won the overwhelming popular vote. And yet at the end, as the facts started coming out, those numbers switched. So he went from having over a 64% approval rating to having a 20% approval rating, and support for impeachment went from 20% to over 50%. It was really correlated to the facts. The issue now is, will people who watch Fox News get the same facts? Will they see the full hearings? Will they see the live witnesses? It was very dramatic when John Dean raised his hand and testified. There were 3 times more people watching than watched Michael Cohen. And so we need to get the people to watch it. The public hearings are extremely important. And people are starting to understand Ukraine in a way they never understood the Mueller-Russia investigation. They seem to really somehow inherently just get that what he did was an abuse of power, that he was basically shaking down a foreign government. And even though he, during the Mueller report, said, well, maybe he didn't know that it was wrong to take money from a foreign government, after the Mueller report, there's no question that Donald Trump and his entire family know that you cannot ask for or accept anything from a foreign government. And asking for help with your campaign is clearly something of value that is illegal. So, and we don't need illegal. I don't want to focus on crimes, because high crimes and misdemeanors does not mean a violation of the federal code.
Let me ask you this. February 1974, the House launches the impeachment inquiry formally.